Hi guys, so today I want to talk about the hollow body hold. I think this is an incredibly underrated exercise that is excellent for building core strength and control that translates to being in the air. There are a lot of movements in aerial that we use the hollow body position for example, just an active hang, or when we're doing front to back beats. And honestly, the best way to get familiar with that position in the air is to drill it on the floor. So I'm going to share just a couple of tips today on how you can get the most out of your hollow body hold so that you can train it in a way that is going to best translate to the skills that you want to achieve in the air. Hi, my name is Verity. I am an aerial online strength and conditioning coach, helping aerialists to achieve the skills that matter to them and build strength that lasts. So the first thing that I want to talk about with the hollow body hold is the cue that I like to use to engage the core. So, one of the things that I think about is trying to shorten the distance between the rib cage and the pelvis. We can look at this just kneeling or standing before we even go into our hollow body. And so, I'm just going to turn to the side. I'm going to sit upright. I'm going to take a deep breath in. And as I breathe out, I want to think about bringing the rib cage to the pelvis. And when I do this, I'm not trying to fold. I'm not trying to flex my spine. I'm actually going to try and keep my spine as straight as possible while just closing the front of my torso. So deep breath in. And as I breathe out, I'm thinking about shortening the distance between my ribs and pelvis. And I'm doing this trying to keep my spine as straight as possible. And so I have to kind of pull with my core muscles to create this shortening. That sensation is what we want to feel when we're in our hollow body hold. And I've worked with hundreds of clients over the years, and this is a cue that tends to make sense for people because it's quite tangible. You say something like belly button to spine or brace, that can create a bunch of different results for different people, but trying to close the distance between your rib cage and your pelvis is a pretty tangible gift, right? So we're going to look at this on the floor, thinking about this core engagement, and I'm going to talk about the other cues for this movement. So I want to make sure that my back stays flat on the floor. I don't want my lower back to lift off. I'm going to have my legs out in front of me, and I'm going to squeeze my glute and tense my quad, point my toes for leg tension. And then I want my arms overhead. My shoulder blades are off the floor for this, but I'm not trying to sit right up. I am thinking of this like a little bit of a crunch, and again, that kind of helps with the rib cage to pelvis cue, but I'm not trying to like sit and lift up off the floor. And that's my hollow body position. So one of the things that I've found people struggle with is keeping the back flat on the floor. And the back can lift off like half a centimeter, and it's such a small movement that you don't even notice, but it then means that the back is not in the best position and the core is not working in exactly the way that we want. So one of the workarounds for this that I found is really helpful for people is using a band under the lower back. And you can do this training on your own. So I am going to place my band under my lower back, so literally your L vertebrae. And then I'm going to come into my hollow body position. And then I'm going to pull on the band. And you can see while I'm holding this position, my back is flat because the band isn't moving. As soon as my back lifts, the band is going to move. And that lift was such a small movement, but the band immediately came out from underneath me. So this is a really, really cool hack for just keeping that back flat on the floor. You feel the resistance band, so you have something to actively push against, as well as the fact that you can pull on it to basically check that it's not going anywhere. So I really like using this if you struggle with holding the hollow body hold and keeping the back flat on the floor. And then the last thing that I want to touch upon is progressions for this exercise. That full disc with arms overhead and legs straight can be quite challenging. And so if that doesn't feel possible for you right now, I'm going to show you how you can modify the movement. So thinking about that same shortening of the front of my body, ribcage to pelvis, I can bring my arms by my side. And I've just shortened the overhead lever. So this is immediately an easier position to hold. Same again, if I want to make it easier, I shorten the other lever, so I bend my knees. So I'm still trying to keep a bit of tension through the legs. It's going to feel slightly different because my knees are bent and I've closed the angle of my hip. But my core is very much working to hold this position. My shoulder blades are still off the floor, and I'm still thinking about bringing my rib cage towards my pelvis. You could even shorten the levers more if you needed to, but I think there's kind of a point where you're then going to be like in a tuck, and it stops becoming a hollow body hold. But the point is that you can play around with how you adjust your legs and the lever that creates in order to find a position that feels like you can hold it for a long enough time that the exercise becomes effective and helps you get stronger. So I hope you found that helpful. That's just some of my favorite tips to share on the hollow body hold. Like I said, I think it's a really underrated core exercise. It's an exercise that gets used an awful lot in gymnastics because you need a strong hollow body position for a lot of the skills, and it's the same in aerial. There are a lot of skills where we're moving through or moving in and out of this position, and so the stronger we can get it on the floor, the easier it will be to access in the air. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one.